Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy Post Up, and I'm back with another video. I just felt as though I had to do this video. And I know I'm probably a little late to the party, but we're going to get to it. I spoke about this like 2 or 3 years ago on the Z Show. It was me, it was Z, it was Porter Rock, it was J Dub, it was Moss. And it was around the time that Microsoft started their cloud initiative in terms of cloud gaming. And everybody was saying, hey, it's Microsoft fit to get out of the console space. They're going to the cloud. Sony and Nintendo don't have to do this because the traditional model works for them in terms of exclusive content on a exclusive hardware and having people buy their games and them selling just 100 million consoles. And I initially said that at some point, Sony was going to follow in the same footsteps as Microsoft. And around that time, the argument was why. Spider-Man selling 13 million. The Last of Us is selling 20 million. God of War, 18, 20 million copies, or however many it sold. And the gist was that Sony didn't need to do that because they were selling 120 million PS4s. Their first party IP was selling millions of units. There was no need for them to repeat or even follow in the footsteps of what Microsoft is doing, because the saying back then was that Microsoft is not selling games, Microsoft is not selling consoles. So in order to kind of help fix that, or to find an answer to that, was then moving to cloud and Game Pass. And my initial thought was looking at the changes in the industry at that time, and how even at that time the industry was transitioning to live services and cloud. I stated that every other industry, including the movie industry, music industry, every other industry outside of the game industry, had already moved to the cloud or subscription services or live services. I say it will be only a matter of time before the game industry does the same thing. Okay, and I was met with a little bit of hostility. I was met with a little bit of post. You don't know what you're talking about. I was met with here. Look at Sony numbers. Look what they're doing in terms of the hardware sales, in terms of the software sales. It's no need for them to do that. The traditional model works for them, right? Even when it comes to Game Pass and subscription services, I was talking about Sony following suit too, in terms of residual income, bringing money in on a monthly basis, right? And when you got millions of dollars coming in on a monthly basis, it's allowed companies to take more risks and invest more in terms of first party and third party and second party, because the cost of gaming is increasing, right? And on that show, I remember I would say, just give it time, just be patient, wait. Y'all gonna see, right? And here we are with an interview that Jim Ryan did, and I want to go over some of the things he said. Let's see here. He said, we have been thinking about how players enjoy our content and have had some early success with experimenting with mobile games and apps to provide more choice to gamers. More specifically, he points out that PlayStation roster of first-party IP can transition to smartphone gaming and complement our AA games or live service games. Okay, so I spoke about. I also spoke about the mobile sector on that show, in terms of mobile taking over pretty much half of gaming. It's mobile, and then it's Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo splitting up the sharing the other half. And my thesis was that they can't leave that money on the table. Mobile is making too much money, right, for Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo to leave that money on the table. Nintendo have found their way in that space with Switch. Switch is a pretty much a mobile device. All right. But I specifically said that Sony and Microsoft couldn't leave that money on the table, and that they will find a way to enter that sector to grab some of that money. All right. And we already knew at the time that PlayStation already had a mobile franchise. I think it's Fate Night, if I'm not mistaken. That was a billion dollar franchise. But in terms of your content, in terms of PlayStation itself, how do you get that content in the mobile space without sacrificing the quality of that content, right? Opening up the mobile space and consumers who consume mobile content to your AAA offerings that you have on your console, and start cutting into that mobile market in terms of getting some of the billions and billions and billions of dollars that they're making over there, right? I said you will do the same thing that Microsoft doing. You will make your AAA quality content accessible on mobile devices and not stripped down, whether you stream it to mobile devices or not. You're not going to strip it down and recreate that experience. You're going to keep that experience consistent and be able to stream that that quality of content to that device. Okay. And everybody told me Sony is not thinking about cloud. They don't have to do that. The traditional model works. The same with Nintendo. Even though Nintendo is testing cloud streaming over in Japan, right? I was laughed at. They bring up all these different type of numbers and this and that on why Sony don't have to do it or shouldn't do it. And here we are right there. More specifically, he points out that PlayStation roster of first-party IP can transition to smartphone gaming and complement our AAA games or live service games. Ryan has been outspoken about his intentions to bring PlayStation exclusive IPs to more platforms, which started with PC ports to Horizon Zero Dawn and Days Gone. Recently, Ryan also stated that he was frustrated with the limited amount of audiences PlayStation can reach via its console. I also stated that PlayStation games will start going to PC just like Microsoft. Around the time that Microsoft, well, all this the content going to PC, and then Microsoft following up with the cloud initiative and Game Pass and all this stuff. I said that that Sony will do all this, and that the industry will trend this way, that the industry will become more consolidated, that they will start buying up studios as other companies outside the industry try to impede on their progress and try to come in and play on the same playing field as them. Everything I have said since that podcast has came to fruition in terms of Sony partnering with Microsoft to invest in a cloud initiative to boost their cloud sector, to boost their cloud gaming sector and make them more accessible to people. I know at one point Sony had their cloud, their PlayStation Now on mobile tablets, TVs, and everything. What Microsoft is doing right now, and they had stopped, and that's because their infrastructure limited them. The farther you got away from Sony servers and things like that, the experience became horrible and pretty much unplayable for some people. So they took it off. If your infrastructure can't support it, there's no need for you to keep supporting something that basically that your infrastructure can support, right? So all of that's gonna come back. I said they're gonna do that. Then they put out a job that said, "Hey, Sony is leading the way in cloud gaming to put console quality games on other platforms." And then we looked at that presentation that Jim Ryan did, saying that you will be able to access and play PS5 games independent of PS5 hardware. Okay, I was right on that. Right? Then Jim Ryan comes out and say, "Hey, we have an answer to Game Pass." Right? I was right about that. Their first party IPs are going to PC. I was right about. So everything I said on that podcast has come to fruition already. And I don't expect Moss, Kratos, or Porter Rock to give me my flowers. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. But they know the things I said on that podcast. They know the counter argument I was making to what they were saying on that podcast. And everything I've said on that podcast has came to fruition. Okay? All right. Ryan has been outspoken about his intention bringing PlayStation exclusive IPs to more platforms. They just brought that developer Nixxes, which is a developer that's more common to porting console games over to PC. Right? He said, we're talking about games stacking up against music. We're talking about games stacking up against movies. He said in a recent interview with Game Industry, music and movies, they can be enjoyed by almost limitless audience, And I think some of the art that our studios are making is some of the finest entertainment that has been made anywhere in the world. And to kind of gate the audience for the wonderful art, wonderful entertainment that our studios are making, to gate, listen to those words, to gate off, to cut off, to exclude the audience, basically, for that at 20 or 30 million frustrates me, right? I would love to see a world where hundreds of millions of people can enjoy the games. Look at music in movies, right? I have the ability, right? Music in movies, in some case, depending, is not excluded to one platform. All right. Look at Apple Music. Apple Music was excluded to the Apple ecosystem at one point, but you needed the Apple device to use that service. You can use Apple Music on Android now, right? Look at Apple TV Plus in terms of the movie. You can, when it first initially came out, it was excluded to Apple devices, iPhone, iPad, Apple TV, right? Now it includes plethora of devices. Now all you can do is just Roku TV. You can download the Apple TV Plus app, right? On your Xbox, you can download the Apple TV Plus app. So the content becomes the platform. How you choose to access that content is your choice in terms of whatever device you want to use to access that content. You can access Spotify and Pandora on a plethora of different devices. So the content becomes the platform, and then the customer is able to choose whatever hardware they want to access that content. Phil spoke about this years ago. He was clowned for it. Ryan is talking about the same thing. He don't have to use the same words as Phil, right? He don't have to say cloud or Game Pass, but the underlying tone, reading in between the line, listening to the context, we know he's talking about the same thing that Phil talked about, right? Right? He used hundreds of millions of gamers. Phil said 2 billion. There's 3 billion gamers out there. 2 billion gamers that they have a possibility of reaching. Excuse me. Doesn't mean that they're gonna accomplish that goal, right? You always want to strive for your best, the highest number. So if the highest number is 2 billion, we're gonna strive for 2 billion. Now, whether we reach 2 billion or not, is not the point. It's like saying, it's like trying to strive for perfection, knowing you can never be perfect. Even though you know you can't be perfect, you still strive for perfection, right? So even though I don't expect Microsoft to reach 2 billion gamers, it's something that they're striving for, right? Same thing with Sony, right? I remember the E3 where they came on the stage talking about 3 billion, 2 billion gamers. Everybody seems to forget. Okay, but yeah, I just wanted to speak on this, right? All right. So I thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all have a great day. Continue to like, subscribe, and share this out. And thanks for spending 15 minutes with Post.